Talking about generosity. That's what we're talking about tonight. And we're going to have some things we have to get through before we can get to generosity, but that's where I'm going to be talking from tonight. And so we're talking about finances, we're talking about money. I guess I just took what are the three most difficult things to talk about: fasting last week, finances this week, and evangelism the next week. And so it's we're going to take them all at once, right? All right. And so that's what we're going to be doing. Speaking of fasting, I hope that you did the fast last Wednesday. I hope it was a blessing. I heard someone say, that's right. I did it. I hope it was a blessing to you. I'm proud of you, those that did it, those that I've talked to, and just say, hey, what did God teach you? What did he show you? How was it? Was it hard? Those kind of things. And so I'm glad you got that under your belt. We're going to continue to talk about that on and off as we move to the end of the year until we get to the start of the year, and we will do together that Fast 365 and be able to start our year off and giving our first fruits to the Lord for the first part of the year. So know that I prayed for you a lot during the fast. I'm glad it went well for many of you. That's good to hear. And so money. My sister has a baby, which means that I'm an uncle, which means I have a niece. Okay, and the bar for uncle is like a really low bar. Okay, if you're breathing, you can be an uncle. All right, there's there's no background checks, there's no no test you have to pass or nothing like that. It's like you don't have to really do anything. Someone else does all the work, and you become an uncle. Okay, that's the way it works. All right. For those of you that aren't an uncle, you're like, wow, that seems really great. Yeah, it's pretty great. Then you get this little niece, and my niece's name is Finley, and I get to teach her all kinds of fun things. Okay, and Finley, she's about 2, a little over 2, and she loves all the things that you like. Okay, she loves going to Target, and she doesn't need to make a list because here's the thing: you don't tell Target what you want. Target tells you what you want, all right? You just go in and you let Target guide your heart, and you walk out with a basket or a buggy or, 2 buggies. It depends. It's just, Target tells you. All right, she loves Target. She loves muffins. Who doesn't love a good muffin? Like Reed's over here. That's right. Who doesn't love a good muffin? She loves muffins. And, of course, she loves money, okay? And I'm like, wait, what? You're 2. She picked up this thing right before she was turning 2, where she would walk up to people she knew, people she didn't, and she would say, can I have money? Pretty impressive. And here's the thing, most people would give her some money, okay, because it's like, dang, she's so dang cute, what do I do? Here's $2,000, whatever. That was the average gift to her was around give or take, of $1,999. It was around $2,000, all right? And she would ask me, money? Can I have money? I'm like, sure. I don't know what you're going to do with it. I don't know if you even know what it is, but I can't say no to you. So I'm just giving her $1 every time, and then she just loses it. And I'm like, this is not a good deal for me. I have to put this in a safe for you and hold on to it for you. But here's the thing, so quick, she learned the importance of money. And like it or not, money is a big part of life. And so I want to spend some time tonight, and I want to dig through this biblically and answer some questions on tithing, on giving, on generosity, and God. That's what I want to talk about. And so tonight's title, here it is. If you're taking notes, ready for the title? The title is my money cursed? Is my money cursed? You may know it is. You may not know it is. It may not be. You may not find out until your next generation grows up and they start handling their money and you realize your money was cursed all along, and so everything you passed on to them is now cursed. And you weren't really experiencing the fullness of that, but now here you are in that moment. But is my money cursed? And I want to talk tonight and share on that so we can get to a place where it's not. That's the hope. And so I'm going to take you, like I said, to the last book of the Old Testament. Malachi is what it's called, and I'm going to read a passage for us as we break down this concept of being cursed. But before we get just to that spot, okay, here's when I say cursed, you may think that's kind of strong, Mac. You're being kind of over dramatic or whatever. But here's the deal: Genesis 3 was the fall. Okay, so God created Adam and Eve, and He created the earth, and He set it up in what maybe you have heard as the Garden of Eden, and so there it is, and maybe you've heard this story, maybe you haven't, but then what happens? Adam and Eve decide to eat the fruit they should not have eaten. They had dominion over everything except for one item, but they went to that one item, they took that fruit, and they ate it. And thus, the first sin. Thus, breaking forth the curse of man. And therefore, from that moment, all the way moving forward, we are cursed without the sacrifice of God. And so when I'm talking about, is your money cursed? Here's the thing. You may think I'm being kind of over dramatic, but really, I'm asking a very simple question. Because before you knew Jesus, your whole life was cursed. Now I'm just asking, is just your money cursed? There may be other areas of your life that may be bound up in sin, may instead of having blessing over it, has cursed over it. I don't know. But tonight we're talking about this one item, your money. So, setting the mind work for there so you're thinking, okay, like, I'm not being over dramatic. It is an actual thing that my money could be cursed because our whole life was cursed before, and there could be plenty of different things in our life that are not under the blessing of God, but they're under curse. So, I'm going to take you to Malachi chapter 3, starting in verse 8, and I'm going to read it for us. It'll be on the screens as well. Here's what it says. Verse 8, will man rob God? Yet you're robbing me. But you say, how have we robbed you? In your tithes and contributions. You are cursed with a curse, for you are robbing me, the whole nation. Verse 10, bring a full tithe into the storehouse, that there may be food in my house, and thereby put me to the test, says the Lord of hosts, if I will not open the windows of heaven for you and pour down for you a blessing until there is no more need. I will rebuke the devourer for you, so that he will not destroy the fruits of your soil, and your vine in the field shall not fail to bear, says the Lord of hosts. Then all nations will call you blessed, for you will be a land of delight, says the Lord of hosts. So he starts off. You're cursed with a curse. Why are you cursed with a curse? Because you're robbing me. That's what he says. That's what God says to us. You're robbing me because you're not giving me what is mine. And so I want to break that down because it uses this curse word, right? This word curse, and then it uses this terminology full tithe, and then it talks about his storehouse. And I mean, it's sophisticated. It's not just like you read it like, oh man, I know exactly what it's talking about. Maybe you're super smart, but for someone like me, I had to break it down. I had to study it to really understand, like, okay, what's going on here? Like, what is it talking about? And when we're talking tonight about tithing, about giving, about generosity in God, we have to kind of set aside some terms here, okay? Because a lot of us want to get to the place where we're generous because we know that's the right place to be. Some of you don't even know you should get to a place where you're generous. And here's the thing. I'm hoping tonight that we all realize whether we are there or whether we're not there, we want to get to a place where we are generous. But to be totally honest, most believers that I know, they know very little about real generosity. The reason they know very little about real generosity is because what they really know about is giving. You can give something and not be generous. You can give something and wish you didn't. Right? Your heart, your mindset, your attitude would decide whether that was generous or whether that wasn't, right? You can give something on accident, you know? I had a friend one time, he sold his car to somebody and his guitar was in the trunk. And I was like, what a generous gift you gave. And he was like, no, it wasn't. I want it back, right? But he gave it, okay? That's what happened. That's the facts. He gave that guitar in the trunk of the car, all right? So you can give and not be generous. The reason that many of us don't know the fullness of what generosity is because we can't get to generosity until we get to tithing. And so many of us are like, okay, is my money cursed? I hope not. I do give to God. So then that would make me a giver. That would make me generous. And so probably my money's not cursed. And I would say, well, maybe. But what it says here is that we need to give God the full tithe. And so I want to break down for you exactly what I mean by giving God the full tithe and what he means by taking the full tithe and taking it into his storehouse, as it says here in this passage. Because so many of us struggle probably with this concept of tithing or even understanding or even knowing what it means that we just don't even get to the place of generosity or even giving. So here's the illustration that I have for us. I have my beautiful wife right here. She's going to grab this table for us, and they're going to share this illustration. I hope you really like it. Here's the deal. You know, this is my first, or one of the few illustrations that doesn't have water in it, so be excited, right? I was like, I got to have an illustration that doesn't have water in it, okay? So I thought, what is more essential in life than water? pie, okay? Exactly. That's exactly what you were thinking. Pie is. So I have here a pumpkin pie, and my sweet, very beautiful assistant right here is going to demonstrate this for us. Yeah. Wow. I mean, she is good looking. You want to go home later tonight with me? Okay, sure. So here let me break down when I talk about the difference between tithing and giving and get into a place of generosity. Here's what I'm talking about. Okay, so this whole pie is all the money that you will have in a whole year. Okay, this whole pie. This is your pie. Okay, and here's the deal: we have to do things with our money. There are very few people that have all of their money and don't do anything with it forever. Okay, that's like, no, you have stuff to pay for, whatever. So most of you have a pie and you have a mortgage, right? Or rent. You have a mortgage or a rent. And so you have to take the pie and you have to cut out part of the pie, what, I don't know, 20, 30, sometimes even 40%, of your money, and you have to give it to who? Whoever you pay your rent to. Mortgage company, lender, whatever it is. Okay, then here's the deal. So after you pay your rent, because we want to have a place to live, a lot of us have car payments. Okay, 1 car payment, 2 car payment, 3, 4 car payments. I don't know how many you have. A lot of us do, some of us don't. So you have car payments. If you don't, you got to get your oil changed. You got stuff that you got to do with your car. And so you take the mortgage here, you take the car payment there. And here's the deal. The bill comes every single month, so you got to do it. And then, you know what else? You got food. I mean, a man's got to eat, and especially this pumpkin pie, okay? It's fall, all right? We should be eating one of these at least a week. And so you got your groceries, you got your dining out, you got your date nights. So you take part of that pie and you dole it out. And here's the deal. Then someone calls like, hey, so-and-so fundraiser, charity's coming up, and would you want to buy a seat at the table? Or, you know what, yesterday I was driving down the road and this lady, she ran out of gas, so I pulled up behind her and I was like, hey, I helped her out. I got a gas can. I drove to the gas station. I put gas in it. I'm like, I don't need you to pay me. Like, I got this, So yeah, you help people. You gotta give away someone's in need. Hey, here's $5. You got a friend in a bind. Here's $20 to get you through. Whatever. And and then you got your kids maybe. Oh man, I hear those are expensive. You know what I'm saying? Here's the deal. You got to pay for them. You got to buy them stuff. You got activities. You got fun. You got all that stuff going on. And all of a sudden, you get to the end and you're like, oh man, well, I got God. Like I'm supposed to give God money. And so what you do is you kind of scrape up what's left in the pie and you... I mean, honestly, you give them what you got. It's like, I'm not going to not give you something. Like, I had the mortgage, I had the car payments, and I had the food, right? I gave to this charity here, and I got my kids and my activities and my vacations and my staycations, and then all of a sudden, okay, God, like, here you go, This is what's left, and there, all of it, right? This is not tithing. This is not generosity. Right? This might be giving, but it's not giving to God. And if you're sitting here and you're relating to us, okay, and you're thinking, oh my gosh, I'm doing this. This is the same place where we were. We thought, oh my gosh, we're doing this. Then your money is cursed. And I'm going to talk us through tonight how to give that over to God and surrender what is His, so that we can walk in the blessing of God. Because here's what I know. It's better to take the pie and first cut out 10% of the pie. And give God first the 10th that is His. Surrender that over and live on the 90. 90 that is blessed will always go further than 100% that's cursed. So, Reese, Lisette, thank you. Very beautiful. Take this, feed whoever you need with the pies. Yeah, we'll have them for you afterwards. Everyone gets a whole pie when they leave. So tithe, I've been saying it a lot. What does it mean? Tithe comes from a Hebrew word. It literally means 10%. So if you've heard it before or you haven't heard it before, you've been wondering or you've wondered for a long time, what are you talking about when you're saying tithe? What does it mean? It means 10%. That's it. It's just a fancy way to say that. It means 10%. And that's what it's talking about there in the text. I want to take you through some other text and show you how important it is to give God the first of what we have. Here's what it says in Exodus 23, verse 19, when we're talking about giving the full tithe, okay? The best of the first fruits of your ground you shall bring into the house of the Lord. The best of your first fruits, okay? So this means we do not get to decide 10% and carve it out and set it in the savings account and make sure everything else works out. We have it saved. We have the 10%. And then if everything else works out, then we give it to God. No. That's not giving him the best and the first fruits. That's not giving him 10% first. That's not putting God first. That's playing it safe. That's holding on to what is God's just in case we need to borrow what is God's without asking. Exodus 13. I won't take you to the chapter, but you can write it down. You can look right at the beginning of the chapter. God says, he uses this word, talking about the first fruits, what comes first in giving God the fullness of the tithe. He says, he calls it mine. He says, it is mine. Those are serious words. He doesn't say maybe. He doesn't say, we'll find out. He's like, no, it's mine. It belongs to me. You're not even really giving it to me. You're returning it to me. You're giving back to me what belongs to me. That's what he's saying in that. It's putting things in order. It's not giving to get. It's not what it is. It's putting things in order. And when we put things in order, we walk in blessing and not cursed. Deuteronomy 14, 22 and 23, write that down. This describes the picture of the blessing that God gave us. This verse tells us that God gave us the tithe so that we would remember to put him first in our giving, in our tithe, and in all things. This is a gift for us to remember. It's not an obligation. I give first because God is first. This helps me remember it. As a church, we follow the same principle. I believe that when you tithe, you're not really tithing to the church. You're really tithing through the church. Whatever church you belong to, whatever church you give to, and if this is your church, then that happens here. If you go to another church, that happens there. Here's the deal: you're not giving to the church, you're giving through the church. And for us to remember that even us as a church and as a leadership, we want to walk in the blessing of God. 10% of everything that comes in, we take, we set aside, and we give away. Now, all of it we give away. We're the church. This is what we do. But 10% doesn't even go to anything here. It goes to needs. It goes to organizations. It goes to other places. It's just us remembering in our minds, hey, my household does this. And this house will do this. This is the way it will be set up. We'll not forget. Leviticus 27, verse 30 says, every tithe of the land, whether of seed of the land or of fruit of the tree, is the Lord's. It is holy to the Lord. Every tithe of the land. Whose is it? It's God's. Who makes it holy? God. It belongs to him. Dave Ramsey is a pretty well-known voice when it comes to Christianity and money. And regardless of usually what denomination or flow or like season of life you're in or whatever, you've probably heard of Dave Ramsey. If you haven't, you can look him up and you can find some great resources on how to be a well-stewarding Christian with your money. And he has resources and videos and stuff online, stuff you can buy, and classes you can go to, and all these things. And he takes calls on the phone, and people will ask him money, and maybe you've called him before, and he was taking a call with a guy on his show, and I saw the clip of it, and here was the question he was answering. The question was, why would God want us to give 10% off the top of everything that we have? To tithe is to give 10% off the top. Why would God want that? And I was like, man, this is like, he could go to a lot of scriptures, he could show it, but I'm like, well, what's he going to say? I'm curious. And this is what he said. He said, I believe he wants us to access the part of God's heart that is most like his. That our heart would be most like his in this. The generous, giving, grace-filled part of God's heart. When we aren't even willing to return to God what is his, how can our heart become like our Father's heart that is graceful, that is generous, and that is giving? I need a volunteer for an illustration, okay? I see you raising your hands, but I usually like to pick my volunteers. Would you do me the pleasure? You don't have to. You would? Okay, great. Come on up here, man. Give him a hand, okay? Come on up here. I'm standing right here so everyone can see you. This is a good spot. All right? Here's my notes. Here's my Bible. This is the table. How's the view look for you?
That's great.
Yeah, everyone's pretty good looking. They're pretty nice, friendly. Okay, so here's the illustration that I want to do. All right? I'm going to give you a dime. Okay? Now, the reason I'm going to give you, stand right over here. Give me one of your hands. Which one you got? Just one of them. Which one do you like better? This one right here, the right one? So I'm going to put this dime in your hand. You just keep it just like that. The reason I'm giving him a dime is because it's 10. So it's like of $1, it would be the tithe. Okay? And so I know a lot of you probably make more money than $1 in a year. But just for simplicity, let's just kind of start with this. Okay? So if you made $1, this 10% would belong back to God. Okay? And your job would be to take it and surrender it back to God, right? That's what we've been talking about. So that would be, kind of your choice to be that or to do that or not. So let's pretend for a second you did what a lot of people do on accident or on purpose. Take this and just close your fist as tight as you can. Whatever you do not let go of that dime. You got it? Don't let go. You got it in there? All right, good job. Okay, so hold it out. There you go. Perfect job. So we're holding on to the tithe. Okay, we're holding on to what is God's. And the thing is, He's generous. He's giving, He's grace-filled, and so He has things that He wants to give us. Okay? So we're holding on to what is God's, and God brings along another dime, and He tries to give it to us. Fist is closed, doesn't get it. Brings along a quarter, He's like, okay. Fist is closed, doesn't get it. Brings along this, this little gift right here, okay? Something pretty for us, it's like, here we go. See if I can, nope. We've been praying, God, would you bring me a new place? Would you bring me a new house? Would you bring me a new apartment? Would you bring me some place that I can live, some place I can raise a family, some place I can be, whatever it is, okay? So here we go. So we're holding on to what is God's. Okay, God, I'm praying like if I just had a set of wheels, you know what? Man, I could give people rides to church. Man, I'm believing for it. I'm praying for it. I'm believing God would bless me with that. But here's the thing. We're holding on to what is God's. Man, here's the thing. He's got money. He's the Lord. He owns everything, all right? So here he is. He's got his stack here. We're holding on to what is God's. This is the way it goes. Over and over again. But if we will open up our hand and return back to God what is His, our hand is open. So now, let me get these dollars back for you here, man. That's what I'm saying. Look at this. Landing right in there. Because we're not holding on to what is God's. We can receive what He has for us, okay? And here's the deal. He's got big things for us, okay? He's got plans for us. More than money, He's got peace for us. He's got joy for us, okay? He has things He wants to give us. And if we'll release what is His, then we'll hold on to what is ours. And here's the thing. All you got to do, hang on to that. All you got to do, just give Him back what is His, okay? Hold on to what is yours. Hold on to that. I'll get it back from you later. Go have a seat. You did a great job. Don't run off too far. No, really, go have a seat. I'll get it from you. Don't worry. I trust you. I know where you're at. If we will let go of what is God's and release the 10, the 90 will be blessed. Right? What we've been praying for and asking for, here's the deal. He will birth in us, He will open us in us the heart of generosity that's like His, and we'll step into a place where beyond money, peace He'll pour down upon us, favor He'll pour down upon us, goodness He'll pour down upon us, extra faith, spiritual gifts, all the things we've been seeking for aligns and roots from this place where we've been cursed this whole time and not known it. Proverbs chapter 3, verse 9. Proverbs. This is a proverb. Okay, this runs through Scripture. This transcends time. This is forever truth right here. Here we go. It says, honor the Lord with your wealth and with the first fruits of all your produce. Then your barns will be filled with plenty, and your vats will be bursting with wine. You can be like, I got to open a new bank account because I can only put so much in this one. I'm going to have to open a new savings account because I need to keep track of what's going on. I'm going to have to give away this car that I have because I already got a new car that I can pay for, and why trade this, and I'm just going to give it away. All of a sudden, generosity opens up in your heart. Beyond that though, it says in 1 Timothy chapter 6, because I'm not just talking about things here, I'm talking about your life being set apart and being blessed and not cursed. 1 Timothy chapter 6, starting in verse 17, it says, as for the rich of this present age, charge them not to be haughty, nor to set their hopes on uncertainty of riches, but on God, who richly provides us with everything to enjoy. They are to do good, to be rich in good works, to be generous and ready to share, thus storing up treasure for themselves as a good foundation for the future, so that, all of this, so that they may take hold of that which is truly life. You want to take hold of something that money cannot buy? Life? That which is truly life, life in Jesus, a blessed life where you're walking and you know everything you're walking in, God is blessed. Take what is God's and give back to Him. And stop holding on to it because you're afraid. I'm speaking to you, I'm speaking to me. So that we can take hold of, not, sure, maybe money or maybe peace, maybe joy, whatever it is, life. We can take hold of life. That's something that people are hungry for. You got 100? A lot of people have a $100 bill. A lot of people don't have life. They're breathing, but they don't have life. And when you take hold of life in Jesus, you're like, oh my gosh, I'm remembering back when I first was a believer and my life was so vibrant. What happened? Here's the thing. Could be a number of things, but it's very likely that you're not returning to God the tithe that is His and walking in the blessing that He has for you. So here's what I want to do. Every week, we've had an action point. Something to call us out, right? To take a step in faith. And this week, your action point is to step out in this very thing. And I'm gonna give you until next week to pray through and seek the Lord and make the decisions you need to make, okay? But here's what I want us to do. There's a card under every seat, okay? And on that card, there's a place for your name, and there's 2 boxes. Here's what I want us each to do this week. To think, pray. If we're in a relationship or we have a spouse, get together with them and talk. Seek the Lord over the next week. And fill out this card. You put your name on it. The first box is for 2018. You're going to put a number in that box. And that number is going to be your tithe. It's going to be 10% of everything that you're going to make the rest of this year. Right? And then you're going to take another number, which is going to be your generous gift. This is you actually being generous now. And you're going to add those 2 numbers together, and you're going to put it in the box. My 10% and my generous gift for 2018 go in box 1. You're going to write 2018, and you're going to write a number in there. Whatever God puts in your heart. Maybe crazy, maybe big, maybe small. I hope for you it's a stretch and a step of faith. Otherwise, it probably is not what God is calling you to do because He calls us to faith. The second box is for 2019. Oh yeah, we're getting close. We got to start preparing. You're going to do the same thing. You're going to seek the Lord. You're going to think, what's 10% of what I'm probably going to be in 2019? You're like, oh, I don't know. My money comes in different flows. And here's the thing. That's between you and God. You pick the number that's on your heart. You best guess the most you can. Here's the deal. You can change it. You can add to it. I mean, here's the thing. I'm not making as much as I thought. It's okay. 10% is 10%. Take the number that you think it is, and then take what's the generous gift you're going to give for the whole year, right? Now, you're not going to give it all at once, but what's the generous gift you're going to give all throughout the year? Maybe it's an extra 1%, 2%, 3%. Maybe it's an extra 10%. I don't know. And you're going to add those 2 numbers together, and you're going to put it in the second box. And then next week when we come back, we're going to have a special time during the worship. Not for us to give those to Authentic, not for us to give those to a person, but for us to submit those and lay those before the Lord. And say, God, I'm returning what is yours. I'm saying right now, the rest of this year and all of 2018, I'm returning what is yours, and I'm giving generously out of my heart. We're going to have a special time next week for that. Bring your cards back next week. If you forget them, we'll have some extra ones here. But I believe there's going to be some breakthrough for us in this, because what are we doing? We're taking what is God's and we're returning it back to Him.